take it outside, bro.
Let's not. It's cold.
Yeah, what's going on, everybody? This is the Bachelor Pad Radio, Facebook Live, Friday night. What's going on, everybody? That was Mind Candy, our buddy. That was a blast from the past. When we were doing the show on 97.1, that was a constant for us when we would open our show or in and out of breaks and whatever. Rudy was. It is good to see that his stuff's on YouTube, so that makes me happy. It's because you guys will be getting a heck of a lot more Mind Candy. Because I like. There's something like for me. It's very reminiscent, like, you know, listening to the show, getting ready, boom, 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 and then, hey, everybody, here we go. Except the call letters are different, and
right,
we're in a vape shop instead of a, radio station.
Yeah, an actual studio.
To tell you the truth, the sound quality and everything with these mics, I mean, dude, thank you, Amazon, for getting us the quality of mic we needed and saving a brother a bunch of nickels.
Just nickels? No
Just
dimes?
nickels. I'm sure they're... What up, Graham? I love it, too, Graham. He's in the parking lot.
I know.
Like, Graham, you could have just stayed in the building, man. It's fine.
Graham's over there waving. Hey,
That's right. So what's going on, man? Okay, so we're going to start off with with Men Do Cry here on the Bachelor Pad.
It's true. I did today.
And part of it, we're prefacing it because you've been called, borderline sociopathic or whatever. You don't have feelings. You don't have emotion and whatever, right?
Right.
Same thing with me. Kind of funny that we found each other now we hang out in a weird heterosexual or a hetero friendship.
Hey,
right?
Man, I don't want to put labels on it,
But yeah, that's right. What are you guys label everything. But yeah, no, it's kind of funny because we get that as guys quite a bit. If you're rational, if you're a rational thinking individual, you get caught with that. So what was your cry moment? I'll make sure and note every time I bust a tear or whatever.
Right. So it's interesting because I don't cry at like normal things, right? Like a family member dies and I'm like, wow, that's really sad. Like I'm sad. And everybody's like, you don't look sad. And I'm like, well, that's because I am. I don't know. What do you want me to do? But today I was on Reddit and I saw a post and it was a video on YouTube, and I was like, oh, yeah, let's definitely let's reminisce about the Cubs winning the World Series. I'm a huge Cubs fan, so I'm like, yeah, that sounds great. So I clicked on it. It's like a 23-minute video, and I'm like, all right, I'll just, I'll skip to the end real quick, and I skip into Game 7, and within 2 minutes, I'm back to the beginning.
Really?
And it starts with, the whole fans outside the stadium for Game 1, and the Let's Go Cubs chants, and I'm like, oh, here come the memories, right? Now, the last time I think I actually cried before this was in 2016 when we beat the Dodgers to go to the World Series. And it was a weird moment to say the least because I had my entire family. I had my dad, my mom, I had my sister there, my sister's boyfriend. They're all sitting on the couch. I am too wired. I'm like, we're the Cubs, something's going to go wrong, we're going to blow it, it's not going to happen, we're one strike away. We get that final out. I went and I punched my door because apparently that's the natural reaction of happiness.
That's something to do, okay.
And then I started crying. And my sister turned around and gave me this look that I'll never forget and was like, are you crying? And I was like, you don't understand. We're going to the World Series.
It's happening. It's happening.
And then the World Series happens, right? We lose Game 1, and it's like, all right, fine, cool. Win Game 2, we're like, sweet, 1-1, we're good. And then you lose the next two, and you're down 3-1, and the storyline is if you don't win tonight, Cleveland will have won more World Series games at Wrigley Field than Chicago will ever have. And you're like, oh, man, oh, balls, this is
the deal.
This is not good, right? But in traditional Cubs fashion, you win Game 5, you go back to Cleveland, you win Game 6, and here we are, Game 7. And I'm watching all this, and I can already start feeling the emotions inside me of, like, remembering what I was going through and having to go to work and talking to the Cubs fans at work, and we're trying to be positive, but we're also the Cubs, and this is what we do. We find ways to lose these big games, and I'm watching this video, and I just start feeling the little tear in my eye, and I'm like, is this really going to happen to me? And sure enough, I just put it on a loop of, it's going to be a tough play. Bryant to Rizzo, and the Cubs are world champions. And the waterworks start coming. I'm crying. My cat's even looking at me like, you are an interesting human being. This is what you cry at? It was reminiscent, man.
Yeah, that was
I couldn't
the.
take it. I'm thinking about like all the Cubs fans, and they're showing pictures on this YouTube video of the Cubs fans planting flowers and W flags at their dad's grave that never saw it. And
Oh yeah,
I'm
no,
like,
it's.
"Oh."
I mean, it's big, just like Boston. Boston had a big,
Right.
spell that they had to go through. Yeah, there's a lot. I don't know. I haven't really been. Maybe when I was younger, I had a very emotional outpouring at, some of the, sporting events and teams.
Right.
I do remember I cried as a child when the Cowboys lost. I think it was right before they were going to NFC Championship game, the catch with Dwight Clark, and it had to have been Montana back then or whatever. So
Right.
I remember that, and I remember it being horrible, and I remember my buddy Jason Crute relishing in my agony.
Yeah.
And he's a crazy Eagle fan, so I'm fairly certain there's a tear that has been shed.
Right.
A time or six with him.
And
so
normally, like these big sporting events, right? Like the Super Bowl and the World Series. When the Tigers were in the World Series, now my second team is obviously the hometown boys, our Detroit Tigers. When they were in the World Series against the Giants, we went out for every game. We had our Tiger stuff on. We're going cheering hard for them, but it was like we're going out. We're at the bar. We're at our friend's house. With the Cubs in the World Series, I was like, I can't leave the house. I can't do this. We tried to go out on a Thursday night for, I want to say, Game 4, and the bar told me to leave. They were like, you're too wound up. Like, other people are looking at you weird. Like, you got to go. Because I could not control myself. I mean, when Rajai Davis hit the home run to tie it up in Game 7, I fell down on the ground and I curled up into a ball and just was just rocking because I was like, this is it. This is how the Cubs do it. We're going to come all the way back to Game 7, and we're going to blow this lead in Game 7 of the World Series, and we're going to lose, and it's going to be another 108 years, and all the terrible things just fill your mind.
flowing into your brain. You know what? To make it even worse, I didn't watch any of it. The whole Cub thing or whatever, because I have no dog in the fight whatsoever. Right. So I didn't really watch any of it.
And it's fun, too, because, looking back on it now, and I'm totally not objective at all, but Game 7 is the greatest Game 7 ever played in any sport. I mean, if
the Boston, Yankees, that one was pretty good.
That was pretty good, but that was not a World Series. That was get to the World Series, right? This game, Game 7,
it was
Boston Yankees?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're in the same division.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
That was them, and who did Boston play in the World Series? What was that, 2005?
2004. Gee, I don't even remember. But again, I'm not a Boston fan, so I'm sure a Red Sox fan can chime
maybe
in
that
and tell
was
us.
to get in. Maybe that was to get in. I don't know.
Because they're both in the American League East.
And I guess I kind of have to mention also, I'm not a huge baseball fan, right?
Yeah.
I only watch playoff, and I was a Boston, I'm Irish, right? So that's like our mecca.
yeah,
that's our,
Yeah, I'm definitely rooting for the Patriots, though.
Are you?
I love watching the rest of the NFL. As a Bears fan, I love watching the rest of the NFL just hate the Patriots because, let's be honest, they really haven't done anything wrong. The two big scandals everybody points out, one, literally every team taped signals. Every single team. Admittedly, during that whole scandal, there were teams coming out going, yeah, we do it too. What do you want us to say? It's a thing that happens.
If it's in my line of sight and I could see, yeah.
Against the rules. It's kind of like stealing signs. The second runner on second will try to steal the signs from the catcher to tip off the batter in baseball. It's part of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Deflategate thing, science disproved that, but, the NFL just loves to try to give the Patriots a hard time because it's honestly bad for business with the Patriots being as good as they have been for so long. People don't like it, and the NFL tried to get them back. So
I guess and I know there's dynasties, and everyone does kind of hate the dynasties one way or the other. What are you going to do?
Yeah. Look at the Red Wings. You had officials. So Red Wings fans, we would always sit there and go, we get hosed night by night by the officials, and other fans would, you're just a whiners, yada yada. But then you had officials come out and be like, well, I don't like the Red Wings. I don't intentionally do it, but I grew up watching them beat the crap out of my teams night after night and year after year, and I just unconsciously don't like the team.
Yeah, I see, and I don't have necessarily like team loyalty per se anymore. It's more I like good quality. Like I think I'm going to be a Rams fan, until they're not good anymore. But
Okay.
I do like what they have going on, and they played really hard, and they had that young edge, and there's a bunch of no-name players. There's one or
Yeah.
two that may be notable, but other than that, it was just a bunch of dudes playing good football. And me being a Cowboy fan, historically, there was something that I had with the 49ers. The 49ers I don't like, but when they had those two inside linebackers, Bowman and Navarro or whatever, dude, I was like, and that was my position. I was like, dude, I'm sorry. I'm going to watch these games. They play well. So I kind of rooted for them just because I wanted them to play longer because, or deeper into the playoffs.
Right.
But I think anything I watch now, because there was an article that came out. It's been a bit of a talking point, but there was an article that came out and said it is kind of true that the NFL is having lower ratings than normal.
Yeah.
So with the ratings and everyone saying the Neil thing and the whatever. Now, me, I was pro. I'm pro First Amendment. Do what you want, say what you want, protest, right? That's why you exist, right? I can understand why people, may have and whatever, and we've got, and this will go into a constant thing of boycotting that we're doing today. But for me, I just didn't watch football this year. I didn't really care on the days that I did. If I did, it would be on in the background.
Right. Yeah, I was the same. I mean, I went to the Bears-Lions game in Chicago because I'd never been to Soldier Field, and I said, hey, I told my family, hey, I can get tickets on super cheap from a buddy of mine to go to this game. And so me, my mom, my dad went and did a Chicago trip, and we went to the game. And other than that, I didn't watch a lot of football. I haven't watched any of the playoffs. Every Wednesday or so, I'm like, oh yeah, that's still a thing, and I'll go on and I'll be like, oh, okay, so the Jaguars are still in it. That's interesting. It's Jags Pats this Sunday. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know why, and I guess it's a thing, right? There's more people that are, some of them are the, you damn it, you didn't kneel for the flag, right? You got some of those, and then is it losing its entertainment value? It doesn't.
See, that's what I think it is. Okay.
Because the hitting and you got to do whatever, and there's a ton of crap that you're just like.
Exactly. I am tired of watching a football game and watching somebody breathe wrong on the quarterback. It's the same reason I don't watch the NBA. You can't play defense anymore. A guy like Michael Jordan would score 100 points in his prime every single night because you couldn't touch him. Every time he touched the ball, he'd be standing on the free throw line, and the games would take forever. So there is no entertainment in it. That's why it's even starting to get this way with hockey, and I am a diehard hockey nut. But it's like, the game is so different. We're not allowed to stick up for our teammates and fight somebody anymore. And that's a lot of what hockey was. And people don't realize that a lot of these injuries are because you're not letting players fight, which means they're coming out and they're upset and they're doing stupid things like hitting people in the head with their elbow. That would have never happened if you had a guy like Bob Probert skating on the ice. If you hit anybody on Probert's team with an elbow, you were getting your face punched in. So you just weren't going to do it.
Yeah, there's and maybe it's starting. To me, it almost seems subconscious, right? Because I see it, I don't like it, but I'm also not up in arms about it either, right? Because it's just the way everything is going. We're eventually all going to be in a bubble, or we'll all be. We're not allowed to think, some of the things or even be angry and whatever. Now, I believe keeping yourself under control, but sports, especially football, is a violent sport, right? And the concussion thing, I get it. But it's also, I played with a concussion, right? I got dinged. I don't remember half a game, right? I seem fairly cognizant now, right? I don't know. Maybe I would have been a Rhodes Scholar or something if I wouldn't have, but.
It's the old joke, right? So, when Gretzky was on the Oilers, one of his teammates, a fourth-line guy, got concussed and came back to the bench, and the trainer was looking at him, and Gretzky looked down at him and said, is he good? And the trainer said, no, he's got a concussion. He doesn't know who he is. And Gretzky said, well, tell him he's Wayne Gretzky and send him back out there. That's just the way it was. You're playing a violent sport where you're going to get hit, you're going to get hurt. And the people that are out there and they're up in arms about it, I'm like, these guys are making a conscious decision to play the game. They are adults. They can make a decision to play the game.
Boop, and I just shot something to Ken. What's up, Ken? I saw you sneak in there. You can't sneak in on me, guy. But I think that Hell's Saints, I think, is what we were talking about early. So give that a check out. Yeah, and it's weird, and I don't know. I'd like to. Hopefully, there'll be a study, and there is one scientist in the room, so maybe we can trick her into studying this of why or how, some of these things are. What's up, Ken? Chilling, man. But yeah, that I'm fairly certain that's the thing we were talking about earlier. So yeah, it's kind of random. I don't know why, but I'm also concerned, like, generally, like, the complacency of me, like sports. Like, am I beginning to flatline on my overall excitement?
Sure,
because I've done a lot of stuff, right? And I don't seem to be overwhelmed one way or the other when stuff happens, right? Like, sports, it's okay. I deal with it. Hey, this and that. I'm not overly excited by stuff, you know. So I don't know, and it's weird. So of course, being self-centered the way that I am, I'm believing it's all about me. It's just good when I see that there's other information out there that is pointing in that level. So okay, maybe it's not me. And with the sports, everyone a while ago, because it is a business, and when you're looking at the business of sports, offense is what's exciting, right?
Right.
Nobody likes Floyd Mayweather because he's the best, defensive boxer on the planet.
Right.
People like knockouts. They like home runs. They like any number of things, right? It's what used to be the whole nuts and bolts of some of these sports don't really exist anymore, because now it's like, no, it's the entertainment value, right? It's like playing it for a new generation. And when you get that generational shift, I'm sorry, think about it. Most kids that I know in here that come in that are, 18 to 24, out of like 200-300 people that come through in a week, not many of them are super sports fans. They're not people that are watching sports, doing, not one of them's like, dude, gotta go home, watch the game or whatever. Like, oh, I don't know. I think we're going to be at the house. The game's going to be on. Like, nobody is psycho about their sporting stuff. Yeah. And everyone that were super fans. So I think there'll be a dumbing down of it. And
well, I think it's also because it's not as exciting anymore. It's one of the reasons I've gotten way more into baseball as I'm getting older, because it's the same game that I watched as a kid. The rules are still the same. There are no weird, well, we're going to do some weird, you can't slide anymore because it's dangerous. Like, it's the same game I grew up watching. It's what I remember. We're not dumbing down the sport to appease some vocal minority saying it's too dangerous.
And dumbing it down for safety, one thing, right? Dumbing it down for, just, hey, entertainment value. We need more people to watch, more people to be excited and buy our gear. So let's just have everybody. This is why I can't watch college sports right now. College sports, 42 to, 46, right? What a barn burner. But they're a lot like that. And you're just negating half of the game. You should not be in the position to be almost in a national championship if you can't stop somebody from scoring 46 points on you.
Right.
And I get it. It's an anomaly. It happens, on occasion where it's just no matter what you do, I'll score more than you. But that's not the way the game was meant to be played. So,
right.
And when we were talking about boycotting, right, the little bit of show prep that I did today, and I'm going to blame it on the fact that, Ken just sent me a thing, and I went, oh,
blame it on the government shutdown, man.
No,
if the government shuts down, you can't do anything. Oh,
yeah, I think everybody will be fine. But okay, so and it was funny because I'm not completely off of the whole boycott thing. Like, it seems like now I don't know. It's kind of hard. If you don't like something, boycott. Don't do this anymore. Well, There's that Monique. She's a African American comedian lady.
Okay.
Funny chick, right? Not super funny. Like, that's why she's not Kevin Hart, and she's not in all the Kevin Hart movies instead of Kevin Hart. But she's funny, right? And she's a working acting comedian. Well, there was a thing. She calls for a boycott of Netflix, right? And this plays into our generalized no ma'am. Into a lot of our no ma'am stuff.
Okay.
So with going here, and this is something I saw, right? Because it has a smidgen of play with people boycotting the NFL and burning their jerseys and doing whatever. But this boycott mentality that's going on, it's been weird because I've been watching it. And there's not many things that if I don't like something, I just won't do it. I'm not going to call like a call to action like everybody boycott for anything under the sun, right? So this is what I found today. She's making headlines after the actress urges her fans and her following to boycott Netflix. She claims that the popular streaming service offered $500,000 for her own comedy special, but paid male counterparts Chris Rock, Dave Chappelle, $20 million. Okay, now you and I both know. Do you know who Monique is?
No.
Exactly. You know who Dave Chappelle and Chris Rock are? Exactly. Right. And some of it is that narcissistic viewpoint that, or the megalomania that, hey, I'm just as important as them, and if you're putting me on, you should pay me the same as you're paying them. No, it's a business. If a bunch of people are going to watch and all the advertisers are confident in the fact, kind of hard to sell I went and saw Chappelle this, last summer.
Right.
I wouldn't go see her. There you lost a couple dollars from me. And no offense, I don't have anything against her, but I'm also not going to go, she's not a draw in the same way, right?
Yep.
So you've got to look at things from a business perspective. So she also stressed that Netflix originality offered white comedians Amy Schumer $2 million, but reportedly settled on $11 million after negotiations. So Amy Schumer, do you know who she is?
Unfortunately, I do.
And the same way I feel. I don't know her, and yes, I have watched a movie or two of hers, which kind of funny, but I was just like, well, there was nothing else on, so I watched it. But still more notable than
Monique.
That's right. So it's kind of funny when you see the boycotting mentality, and it kind of freaks me out. Boycott Netflix for color bias and gender bias. Please stand with me. I love us and whatever. This is on her Twitter, right? She also called out Netflix on color bias, gender bias, and she said that she should be paid based on her resume. Boom, boom, boom. They're based on So I don't know.
Okay.
It's really weird. So I see this.
I 100% agree, Monique. You should be paid based on your resume. Which means $500,000.
Yeah,
that's being paid on your resume. That's literally what you said. But because it's not what you want, we're going to throw the race card. We're going to throw the gender card because you can. And that, to me, is just despicable.
Well, yeah, and you can, ish, but in that same, token, you can, doesn't mean that, it just seems like everybody, right on, man. Thank you, Ken. Yeah, it's kind of freaking me out with with a lot of this stuff and the boycott mentality, right? And you got the people with the NFL and this, and yes, other people, and I talked about it with Mark Wahlberg and with other stuff. You have to understand that certain people will get paid more based on performance or based on draw. They may be less of a performer, but more people like them and do whatever. That is just the way the world works.
Sure.
You've got to factor it down to the people who are going to, pay and do whatever. And it shouldn't be about race, and it shouldn't be about gender. If it was like that Lisa Lampanelli broad talking about, female comedians, right?
Right.
She's a funny chick. And she said some horrible things, and she was all over, but I watched a lot of her stuff. She would have been a big enough draw that I would have gone and seen. Right. I've seen her in movies. Not a bad actress, and she's funny, but not enough for me, to look at it like she would be carrying a lead or deserving of that much money, right? And it seems that everybody who's in this business one way or the other, once they get there, they want that big payday because they're chasing it. One day I'm gonna do sold out arenas and I'm gonna make $1 gazillion. You got to keep doing whatever the heck you're gonna do that people are gonna pay for.
Monique, when you sell out an arena and you go to London and you sell out Wembley Stadium and you sell out Madison Square Garden like Chris Rock and like Dave Chappelle have, then let's have a conversation. But until you do that, you can't put yourself, it'd be like Matt Stafford coming out and saying, well, I don't get paid as much as Aaron Rodgers, so blah.
Well, and actually in the reverse right now, everyone's coming out and going, dude, I've got a better record than whatever. Yeah, he's got some good stats, but dude, that team can't win. Why is Stafford making more than me, right?
And before anybody tells me that I don't know what I'm talking about, yes, I know Matt Stafford is the highest paid quarterback until this free agency. But the point is, he was not being paid like Aaron Rodgers for a long time. And when Aaron Rodgers' contract comes back up, Aaron Rodgers will be paid more than Matt Stafford. I can't stand Aaron Rodgers. I hate the guy. But he's a better quarterback, and he's won more than you have. End of story.
Right. And it's weird because sometimes people will pay on your resume for what you have done in the past.
Sure.
And you're worth it because you're, if we get into that one tough game and you can pull that one rabbit out of your hat, or they're going to pay you for what they think you can do in the future, or to keep you away from somebody else stealing you, right? And that's kind of how it goes. But since we were talking about Dave Chappelle, it's funny because it's kind of weird, like when I do a little bit of show prep and we begin to talk about stuff and it does kind of play directly, and we're not directing it. It's just going. We happen to mention Chappelle and she mentions Chappelle and whatever. But Dave Chappelle responds to his critics after coming under fire for calling Louis C.K.'s accusers weak, okay? And that's calling out women in, a sexual harassment thing and whatever, right? So we're going to be talking about sexual abuse scandals in Hollywood for a very long time, and for good reason. But while the vast majority of people are publicly throwing their support behind survivors, some public figures are controversially opting for a different approach. Kind of like I said with the no ma'am. Dude, come on, man. Like, I get it, but I get it. Like, cool, but this is getting out of control, and that, that wave is going sideways. Like, we need to, show a little bit of rationale in this, right? Somebody came out against one of the Douglases, Michael Douglas, one of the Douglases from the 1980s, and said he reached down and was playing with his business and whatever in 1980, and she just came out and said something about it today, which I guess is just anything that's ever been done. Like, I have moments, and I'm sure dude, just when you were this and you were that. Of course, I'm a guy, I'm a jerk, I'm a dick. It happens.
Not saying that playing with yourself in front of another woman that doesn't want.
I mean, I'll do it in front of you, but you don't seem to be upset about it.
I'm in 30 years. I'm also not going to be like, he sexually harassed me, because guess what? I can just take my feet and move them out the door.
That's right.
I do have that power.
That's right. All right. So the 44-year-old, had addressed sexual harassment allegations against his fellow comedian Louis C.K. in his Netflix special, The Bird Revelation, calling C.K.'s alleged victims weak, right? So you go, okay, what is that all about? After telling the audience that one woman claimed to have given up on her comedy career after the experience with C.K., Dave, came back with, you think if Louis C.K. jerked off in front of Dr. Martin Luther King, he'd be like, nope, I can't continue this movement. I'm sorry, but the freedom of black people must be stopped. I don't know, what this was, was pulling his, his junk out and jerking off. Like, I thought, I'm gonna have to get a couple drinks and chill, right?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, he makes a roundabout point about that, but.
No, but
we're just too sensitive.
And the comment about being weak, and we've talked about it, the way females have been raised and the psychology and the culture, but it stems from the household, right, and from your parents. And you need to, dude, if I had a daughter, she'd be strong. She'd also know karate. She would kick some balls and do whatever.
If a dude whipped his junk out, she'd probably just kick it.
Right. And look, dude, in this puritanical world and whatever, they hide the nipple from me, right? So if I see a nipple, like, oh my God, that's, sexual, whatever, we're not. In Canada, they can mow their grass with their top off, right?
Right.
You go to other countries, dude, undressed. You watch bra commercials where they put the bra on, from being naked to putting the bra on in Europe, right? So
I need to move to Europe.
Dude, seriously, dude. But then again, crap. I don't want to. I really, really like nipples now, and I think this is the world that did it to me.
It
really might. Like, man, dude, that's just another nipple. Where now I will go crazy over the nipple, right? So, in that whole, context, the same thing with, oh, there's a penis. Like, oh my God, I saw a penis. I'm going to, like, I can't. I need years of therapy. Like, are we really that, it'd be like two dogs, right? You just raised your dog and you always put a T-shirt on your dog and whatever, and your dog walked out and didn't have a shirt on, and another dog saw your dog's nipples. Or you went to go sniff a butt of another dog and he had balls. Oh my God, I saw. You understand that only, us.
Only humans do this.
Exactly. Everybody else sees the genitalia of everything else in the whole mammal spectrum. But we're freaked out like we're the greatest thing to ever happen to the earth, which of course is a joke, right? We're the only ones that have the capability of actually blowing the thing up and killing all life on it, right?
Because we're the greatest.
That's because we're the greatest. But in that same token, seriously, dude, and I get it, right? How has our psychological, Rubik's Cube gotten to the point that if a boob popped out, I'm going to lose my friggin' mind? Or if somebody looked to the left and saw a Johnson, that's it. Years of counseling. Dude, I got to live underneath the stairs now. I saw a pee-pee.
Yep.
I see one every day. I
look down, and there she is.
There she blows, yeah.
Maybe that's why I'm so screwed up, man. Maybe I've seen it so many times that I'm just permanently scarred for life.
It really could be. Because I have a tendency when it's out, I look at it. I'm like, what does it look like from that viewpoint in that mirror? I've got a trifold mirror where I'll stand and see. Like if anyone happened to come by and look at it from that's impressive. I like that angle. Note to self: next time I have my clothes down, I want to make sure everybody is about 32 degrees to the right. Take a look at that bad boy, right? So, I mean, that's an interesting point, right? The whole animal kingdom and mammal kingdom. You've got everything that is as closely geared to us. Through, monkeys and, orangutans and whatever, chilling, got their business out. They seem to be getting along just fine.
Well, it's kind of like what I was saying yesterday after the show. Let's all just be naked.
Yeah. I mean.
And what did Aaliyah say?
I have no idea.
Well, you want to see a fat person naked? If we were all naked, nobody would care.
Yeah, after a while, it's like, hey, bro, man, maybe lay off. I would assume that if we were all naked, we'd be on like a tropical island. So, hey, man, lay off the bananas or, the coconuts, man. There's a lot of,
Just cool it. Just have one less coconut a day, man. I'm looking out for you, bro.
That is correct. And in other boycott stuff news, Delta Airlines is cracking down on passengers' emotional support animals.
Yep.
Which I think has been really, really laxed, but also in a good way because I'm a dog person. And if I thought I could take my dog with me and do whatever, you can also, if you're going to get an apartment, all you have to do is, you can download the information online, fill it out, do whatever. You don't really have to. It doesn't have to be an animal that's trained like for seizures or anything else. It can be your emotional support animal. I know I feel better as a human being, and I'm probably not going to go nuts and have a road rage incident when I've got my dog with me, because I don't want to go to jail and then, it's my dog. He can't drive the car home. I mean, he's seen it done a lot of times, but I really don't want to today be the day where he tries to get behind the wheel, right? I'm less apt to, because I have something I'm concerned about. And if something weird happens, who's going to take care of my dog, right? Keeps me in check. Leave my dog with me. You never have to worry about Jake for the rest of life. Like, I'm good. I'm always... Like, there is nothing that's going to happen that I'm going to put my creature, my animal's day in jeopardy or life in jeopardy or anything, right?
Right.
So Delta, they did. And, dude, what it were the responses, right? The responses that people were having were and you could tell they're not dog people, right? And when you begin to fraction off everybody in the world, you've got animal lovers. You've got people who just as soon kill animals. You've got this. You've got vegetarians. You've got libertarians that are sitting and watching the Senate. The Senate vote to see if we actually have a government shutdown tonight. Or
I would love it.
So it is kind of random how we have a lot of that going on, right? Well, one of these guys, as I was reading through the comments, and I called him a nut job. Because he was like, man, enough with these people and their animals. You need to make more friends and, rely in God for your relationship. Trust in God, and God will be cool if you don't have friends. You don't need an animal as a friend and whatever. And I'm like, wow, you're really like, dude, how crazy religion-y do you have to be to bust somebody's balls about having a pet or an animal as a friend?
I mean, let's just start with the fact that he's, first of all, religious.
That's right.
He believes in a spiritual figure that he has never seen nor communicated with, is making all decisions of the world. So I don't think we're going out on a limb to say he's a nut job here.
No, he is a nut job. Yeah, and there's quite a few people, and what got me, of course, was the random guy with here he is. Scott Leonard, right? This guy. Yeah, I'm personally in favor of getting rid of emotional support animals and having people go back to finding comfort from friends and God. And, And that's right. Here's one reason, and I'm like, wow, really? And you know what? And I'm going to show you what I do in my creepy time. And I look at this guy, right?
I don't know what I want. I don't think I want to see what you do in your creepy time.
Well, no, this is about as creepy as it gets, dude. I'll get into that in a minute. Just remind me, just say creepy time. All right, so we've got this guy. So when I see somebody, when I begin, this is a lot of the things I do as a sociological experiment. When I read these and people are weird. Who is this guy? Where does he live? What are his things? How many friends does he have on Facebook? Is he whatever? And then I'll look how many people of color does he have on his thing, right? If it's a like a government post about this
so
or
you
that.
get like really into it.
I do. I'm bored, right? I don't play video games.
You're breaking it down.
I don't play video games, but I kind of do. So he's let me see. How many friends does this guy have? He's got a lot of friends. He's a churchgoer there, right? So I'll give him that. So he passed the first test. A lot of people have clicked, okay, I'll be friends with you on Facebook. So I'll give him that. I will go again with the super religious, and then let me see. Amazed and thrilled by God and the gospel, passionate that others might discover life, husband and dad. Okay. He deals, he's in the real estate business. So, upstanding, fine dude. And I'm sure a great dude, but boy, sounds like super Johnny Do-Gooder. But maybe, ease up on the pets, right? Like just leave the animals alone, man. Right. Talk to people. God. Spend your time talking with God. Take God for a walk, right? Go play fetch with God. Do something. He's just not real keen on the pets.
I will absolutely. I'll jump to his side of the argument as soon as I actually can take God for a walk.
Oh, dude, he is super. Dude, he's got a diagram on here, man. We don't have to work on this guy. The cyber disciple versus the church member and whatever. So this dude, yeah, he is super churchy. And
what is a cyber disciple? Just enlighten me here, because I think I know what he's trying to say with that, but
what's that?
I think I know what he's trying to say with the cyber disciple, but what's our definition here? Someone who's only religious on the internet and then doesn't go to church and.
Yeah, I'm sure. Let me see if I can click on his friends. Oh, I can. And then, churchgoer and where are you from? And then I always like to see who they are and if they're multicultural in their, in their friend, stuff and, because then I can get a good idea, because he's also Republican, right? Church people, Republican,
generally
blah, blah,
goes
blah.
hand in hand.
He had some stuff on there about Trump and, hey, man, even with all his faults, look at this. And yeah, we're just going to go with this is.
So a Trump apologist.
Even though, and church will go ahead and bring some multicultural, but yeah, he's still heavy on the extreme. But boy, that's a grouping of really nice white people on his friends list. He's got a couple tan folks on there, but everybody else, yeah. So this is what I do when I dig in or I see somebody, say something or do something, especially when I'm looking at articles like this, I will go that deep. Who are they? Especially when what up, girl parts? When I was looking into a lot of the racial stuff last year, which we haven't heard a whole heck of a lot since, and not even, I think it was 16. I think 17 was pretty chill, but with the Black Lives Matter
right.
And with a lot of the police shootings, did cops stop killing, shooting unarmed black people? If so, that's great. It worked. Whatever we went through.
Right.
I mean, obviously
Even
it's been
though,
less. Nobody's been super up in arms about it.
Even though if you actually look at the statistics, there were more shootings of unarmed white men
again
by comparison. Now again, 13% of the population
versus
when you put it all and you go to a 1-to-1 ratio and you do your math on it, which I won't get into, there was still a large giant majority of the deaths in unarmed shootings were white people. That's just the way it is. And even when you factor in 13%, when you average it out so that each death is equal, it still comes out to more white people. And the thing that always bothered me about like the Black Lives Matter stuff was they picked the dumbest cases to be like, rah! They picked like the Michael Brown case. A thug who robs a store and then tries to grab the gun from a cop, and they're like, that is just... No. There were real, like, actual issues, and this is the same thing that I was thinking about today with the whole no ma'am, in where now we have a giant uproar in the racial, sexual, sphere going on. Trying to be politically correct here.
Mm-hmm.
Michigan State University, if you haven't heard this, because this is what they should be talking about, and they're not.
I mean, it's flying around a little bit, but
right. Michigan State University, they employed the doctor who was, the doctor of the U.S. national gymnastics team, I believe, and was doing inappropriate things. And now it's day 4 in his trial of his accusers coming forward and, coming after him. And he's already been convicted of like 40 years worth of offenses, and he's now going to be convicted of another like 260 in actual molestation charges. And very quietly, Michigan State University came out and publicly supported his, she was like a grad student of his that was working with him and is now a major player, publicly supported her. Despite the fact that there's like 150 lawsuits going on right now that say, she knew, she was complacent in it, she didn't say anything, and she's been silent on this whole deal. These are the things that these movements need to be looking at. Stop looking at things that are no issues. Look at things that are real problems. How can Michigan State come out, and I'm not asking you to come out and fire her because these are lawsuits that have not gone to trial. We don't know whether they have merit yet.
Due
and
process,
again,
right?
In today's day and age, it wouldn't surprise me if all of these didn't have merit and it was somebody looking to make some money. Would not surprise me in a bit, and I'm sorry that I have to say that, but I do. But at the very least, you can't come out and say you support this person implicitly. Like, that is doing so much damage to the whole movement. That's basically saying, as long as you don't get wrapped up in anything, you can be totally complacent to this happening, and we'll still stand by you. Yeah.
Yeah, it's well. Did you see also Michigan State with they're allowing the white supremacist guy to speak on campus? They were going back and forth about it, and I think the last thing I heard or read is that they are going to allow it to speak, and now people are going. There's protest, and now they're going against that. Like, hey, you shouldn't. And again, it goes back to free speech, whether it's a different viewpoint and whatever. But they are getting really streamlined on the hate speech,
right?
So
and it's the right move for them to let him speak, because we do have freedom of speech. Now I encourage everyone to go protest it and to go make sure that he knows he's a despicable human being for having those views. But
I think he would have to know that the views are unpopular and probably
sure.
despicable, but people are going to have them.
First Amendment, we have to let him speak,
right? Because if it was a religion, and if he was there reading the Bible and did whatever, but then pointed out some of the things about slavery in the Bible or about blatant sure. sexism in the Bible and whatever, people would be up in arms. But it doesn't mean people still don't believe it, read it, and right. regurgitate it on a regular basis.
I mean, that's it. There are people that I would rather not hear speak, and I just don't go see them. And this guy would be one of them. But I still respect their right to speak, because we have a country founded on free speech. I mean, that was a giant part of the American Revolution, was don't tell us what we can and can't say, and what church we can and cannot belong to, and yada yada yada.
You threw in the yadas, huh? Hey, did you double check and see what's going on with your government shutdown there?
I did. We don't have any news yet. The vote was scheduled for 10 o'clock, so as we get closer,
10:23.
As we get closer to 11, we'll probably start hearing some trickles. But so far, no. Yes, we're shutting down. No, we've signed an 11th hour. God hope we don't sign an 11th hour.
And dude, it's so stupid, dude. I don't even I could care less one way or the other. And you're the libertarian, right? You're the guy who,
yeah. This is perfect for us, because we're like, so we're going to shut down the government, and
this is like a playoff. This is like a sports playoff game for you. Like,
right.
Oh,
this is our Super Bowl at this point until we get some real traction.
Well, I just don't understand how the government, and this is why a two-party system drives me bonkers, right? And especially this one, right? And it wasn't much different in the Obama administration, right?
Yeah.
It was like, nope, we're not going to. Every one of us, we're going to say no. You're going to say yes. It's going to be a stalemate. This is going to happen, and nothing gets done, right? And this is what I love in the generalized complacent American. That we just go about doing, hey, what are you doing? Grab a beer afterwards, cool, and go about your day and whatever, while our representative government is doing nothing, or literally like log jamming into crap.
Right.
And
the worst is when we actually do pass something, and it's a watered down we have to make concessions here and concessions there, and then you end up passing something that is really just a piece of paper.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be overturned in 8 years when the next guy gets in. So
it's shenanigan-y for
but
sure.
we love it. We're having. I mean, I'm so happy today because we got the government shutdown happening, and it's going to prove.
And what does that
yet again?
And what does that affect the general population?
It doesn't, which is kind of the point.
Because we've had them before,
right?
And the national parks are down for a day or two.
You're telling me that the government's going to shut down, and the whole argument on well we need taxes at the rate that they're at to pay for these things. We don't. The government's going to shut down, which means our budget is going to shrink to just the necessities, which are military, police, fire, road, et cetera, right? Hospitals, things that you actually need. And everything's still going to work. You're still going to wake up tomorrow and the police are still going to be roaming the streets. And if your house catches on fire, the fire department's still going to respond. And we did it all without having to spend trillions of dollars a day that we don't have. Like, it just proves our point that, like, yes, we do need taxes for certain things, but we don't need taxes. We don't need to take 35% of your paycheck.
How far away do you think we are from getting rid of the U.S. Postal Service? Like, who is happy when you see, and why am I getting dumped upon 38 leaflets and pamphlets of stuff that I take and throw away immediately?
You know, it's interesting. Today, I got a pamphlet for LA Fitness. Wasn't delivered by the Postal Service.
Who was it delivered
They
by?
paid a guy to drive around and drop these off.
Okay.
It was probably cheaper for them to do that than buy stamps for all these houses.
Could have been. Yeah,
Like,
I don't
the
know.
government-
Or they wanted to go super target
Sure.
market and, do. And look, I just don't understand it, right? Email. Everyone has an email device of some kind, right? And at worst case scenario, you shrink it down to, yep, we really need to go hand you this. But do the advertising dollar and, just that, dude, I get another pizza coupon. That's why they make the computer box, right?
Right.
And we've
Send it
got
to me in my
everything.
email.
Whatever, and if I want to see it, and if I want to look at it, I will, and if I don't, I look, and I don't understand. I mean, you've got a free transferable service right in front of you.
Right.
Why do we keep going with these old archaic? And that's something that just freaks me out every time, because I got the mail slot in the door, and every time I come home and there's just 3 or 4, I look, I'm like, nothing, not for me. This, I don't even know who this person is.
The
And
amount
some
of
coupons.
times I would bet, for me personally, I would bet that I get more mail delivered to my house that's not for me than I get mail that's actually for me and is not junk.
Yeah.
Like, which is, again, a perfect libertarian argument. You can use the Postal Service as to why there are people like me who are objective and look at the facts and go, gee, this doesn't work. You have UPS and FedEx, and is DHL still around?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well,
international stuff.
Then you got DHL. They all do the job better than the government can do it, because there is not one industry, and I challenge you to find a fault with this logic. There is not one industry that has ever done something better than the private industry. Nothing. Whenever the government gets involved, it always falls apart. Every single time. Healthcare, it is still a mess. It's more a mess now than it's ever been.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't go to the doctor.
Like, every time the government gets involved in anything, it falls apart. Which is why we're libertarians and we say just don't get involved. We don't need a postal service. We did in the Wild Wild West because we didn't have UPS, but then somebody came along and said, I can do this job better than the government because
and think
you can
about
always
it.
do it better
When
than
is
the
the
government.
last time you personally yep, I need to let me lick this envelope and stamp and whatever
Right.
that you couldn't easily go to an independent contractor,
Right.
someplace like, hey, we'll get your stuff where you need
I
it to
don't
be.
even box my stuff anymore. I just take it down to the UPS office or the FedEx office and I give it to them and I say, send this here, and they weigh it and they put it in a box and then they say, all right, that'll be $3.42, please. And I'm like, great.
Cool, done.
Yeah. See you in 3 months when I mail something again.
Yeah, no, it is kind of random. So those are one of the things, right, that drives me bonkers on a regular basis. Yeah, why? Right, everything else is changing so rapidly in our world that some of those things are just, nope, that's always been there. You know, we got to wait until the people born in, in 1946 die, and then, because they still need the post office. Do you ever look like when you do go to the post office, just the people that are in there, they're not people that I deal with. They're like 87-year-old. Right. I guess they ship a lot of stuff, or they to send out letters.
My grandma still pays her bills by check and takes it down to the post office and does the whole licks her stamps and gets stamp books. And
yeah, that's got to be something that's going to go.
I might have bought a stamp twice in my life.
Yeah, and dude, I don't even know. I'm like, balls, I got to go to that weird place with all the little square vehicles to get it.
Right. The only time I ever have to actually go down to the USPS, the Postal Service, and do something is during tax time. If, God forbid, I have to send something to the IRS, they require you to do it by the federal government because bureaucracy. That's just how it works. But even some federal governments now, or state governments now, I should say, are like, yeah, we don't use the post office. We use UPS because it's cheaper, it's faster, it's more reliable.
For sure.
I think if you get stuff from the state of Michigan now, it comes from UPS.
Dude, I had an interesting thing happen today. I get my dog's going crazy, dude, just rah, rah. And I'm thinking, that's the postman, right? Since we're on the post stuff.
Sure.
And I'm like, okay, cool. And then boom, 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 and all of a sudden I hear a knock on the door. And I'm like, dude, I'm in my boxers and a wife beater. I'm like, who is this? And why are you at my house at like 12:36, on a Friday? And my dog is going haywire, which the person didn't run away, so I'll give him that, right? Normally the postman kind of puts his thing in the envelope, and my dog will grab the end of it and take it away from him. There's a door, and he can't get giant dog, and you can't get through there, but he's freaks out and runs away. So I look, and there's this, there's a black gentleman standing on my thing, and I'm like, who is this? What? I'm like, dude, is there a package coming? Do I got to sign for something? So I open. And I'm like, what's going on? And my dog now is trying to jump through the, I'm making sure I got the screen, the storm door locked.
Right.
Going crazy. And I'm like, what's up? And he was like, hey, man, I'm with Comcast and whatever. And I was like, I don't have Comcast. He was like, yeah, but I'm just, here's my business card. What do you have? And I was like, well, I've got, AT&T. And he's like, do you have Uverse? Uverse is going away. I guess the television service. So that's a weird thing that I found out today.
Interesting.
So Uverse is going away, I guess.
Good.
Weird. I don't know, but I don't do it, right? All I have is the internet. And he was like, well, you got internet? Well, we've got, blah, blah, blah megs and versus blah, blah, blah megs and, blah, 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 and it's under $50. I bet you're paying more than $50 and whatever. And I was like, huh. I go, this is random. Like, I literally have a Comcast guy at my door. Weird. I don't think I've ever had a door-to-door. Well, in Texas I did. That's how I got Uverse the first time, right? They would just drop them off in a van and they would scurry about the neighborhood and whatever. Right. And one time I did because I was like, dude, if you pitch me properly, I will buy. What do you got? Blah, 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 blah. And then I kind of schooled him on his approach, and I was like, dude, you kind of went sideways here if you do this and you do that. So then dude, I like being sold to. Even if I have no need of it, if you're a good salesperson, I will buy it. There was a dude who came in here the other day, and he had, in his hand, he had a couple of those, like, the things you wear around your neck.
Right.
Like, it looked like those movies where they would put the thing, and if you ran past the border, it would blow your head off or whatever. I forget what sci-fi movie that was, but it seemed like a thing. And he's standing there, and I had people, and blah, 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 and I was like, and what's going on? He was like, hey, I've got these. I was like, no.
Are you,
okay. And just walked out. And I was like, no. And number one, if you would have came a little bit better, with the, hey, man, my name's Josh and whatever, dude, blah, 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 blah. But I still don't like being solicited to.
Sure.
If anyone's going to do the soliciting around here, it's going to be me. Go ahead.
Are you sure? Now, you said he had, like, the thing where you run past the border, his head explodes. Mm-hmm. You sure that wasn't Donald Trump's latest border plan?
It very well could have. Hey, you got anybody you don't like around here? Snap this on and,
You got anybody with the wrong color skin? Well, you just put this on them, and when they try to cross the border, boom, there she goes.
And there they go.
That was an awful joke, and I do apologize. But,
yeah, I wish I could remember what movie that was, the sci-fi movie with.
You did say, though, if somebody pitches you well enough, you'll buy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I have a bridge that I'm trying to get rid of. Real cheap. It's real nice.
Yeah, you got some oceanfront property in Arizona. That's
right. Yeah.
No,
I got lakefront property in Antarctica. If it's just a 13-hour plane trip.
Dude, I don't know. Iceland sounded really, really cool, man. Have you?
I would go to Iceland in a second.
Dude, Iceland has a lot of cool stuff going on.
Interesting you bring that up because I one time did look at jobs in Iceland because there is no income tax.
There's what else? And they're like anyone under the age of 25 is like almost 100% atheist too. So
Really?
you're getting out of the kooky religious folks in that thing. There was an article I posted it. I didn't really go into it, but kind of neat. Just fun facts that Iceland isn't really ice, right? They did the Iceland Greenland trick, like,
right.
Hey, we're gonna call this Iceland. Nobody will want to come here, right? And they have a cool, like, it is a lot of cool.
And then the
facts.
Vikings still lived in Greenland.
That's right.
Which,
Yeah, doesn't make any sense.
Oh well.
They seem to like the cold.
Yeah, well, I do like I might be Viking. Hey, maybe I'm not Irish. Maybe I'm Viking.
You could be.
I don't know.
Very well could be.
I did look at jobs in Ireland too. That was interesting to like read about their immigration laws and.
Yeah, no, when you start looking into other countries' immigration laws, because we think we're Americans, we should be able to go anywhere we want. Not the case.
No.
Not the case.
You know what the most interesting one that I looked into was Mexico. You know what Mexico's illegal immigration policy is? Pretty much what Donald Trump wants ours to be.
Yeah?
Like, pretty much verbatim. It's like you if you are caught in this country illegally, you're immediately deported. Period. End of story. We don't care how old you are. We don't care nothing. If you emigrate to this country, you have to pay more taxes than people who were born here because you're not from here. And I was like, interesting. This is Mexico we're talking about. We're all worried about, like, Mexicans coming here, and they're more worried about us coming there.
Well, look at what we do anywhere we go.
That is true.
Well, and you think their immigration laws, if they've been around for a long time, last time we stepped into an area that was theirs, it became Texas. You know what I mean?
Well, it was Texas, and well, it was Mexico, and then it was Texas, and then we stepped into it.
Well, yeah, but
So.
the Republic of Texas and the reason why or whatever. But, okay, so any pale faces, right? So I don't care if you were Texan or you were whatever. I mean, they were still us, but no, this is our land, But I can see why people wouldn't want us. That we come in, we seem to be craftier, we take your stuff, and you guys can have this.
We tell you we got all these nice medicines for you, and then we end up owning your house.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, we had a good Canada talk in here earlier.
Really?
Yeah, where Canada, and somebody bagged on Canada. I think nope, he's out of the room. It was one of our guys who was in here and was like, man, Canada, blah, 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 and damn, just typical Republican, Canada, God damn it, they this, and this. And I was like, yeah, have you really looked into Canada?
Yeah.
And
you ever actually been to Canada?
And I go, they seem to be, when's the last time you heard of a bunch of shenanigans going? Dude, they're sitting around drinking beer, hockey, and maybe getting into a fist fight, right? Don't hear about a lot of shenanigans going on up there. They seem to be doing just fine.
As long as that fist fight doesn't require them to use Canadian healthcare, because that's not.
And here we go with the Canadian healthcare. I looked into it. It's not as bad. I spent a day and a half looking into it.
Talk to a Canadian my friend.
Well, I looked at everything that could possibly. Dude, you killed me for like a day or two because I was listening to real people. I was listening to what they're accustomed to, what and how everything plays. And yes, there's problems in the system, right? There's problems in the system, which, some of them you pointed out that I listened to. But when you listen, and again, listening to, taking it from a sociological standpoint and reading blogs and reading this and everything that real people are talking about, depending on, whatever area types and whatever, it has its problems like anything that is being run by a government entity, but it still seemed better than I have none.
I liken it to socialism, right? So socialism and nationalized healthcare sound great on paper until you actually need it. And I've had friends that are Canadian, and one of my friends was living in Toronto, had a massive facial injury, and drove 4 hours to Detroit. Her fiance at the time, drove her 4 hours to Detroit to get healthcare because in that 4 hours they spent driving, they would have spent sitting in a waiting room. And went to Detroit, went to the DMC, and the DMC ER was like, you need surgery right now. Because that's same thing with France, right? The other big one they always throw out is France has nationalized dental care. Have you seen a French person's teeth? They're fake. Because if you need anything done, it takes you're getting appointments 6 months to a year in advance. 6 months to a year is a long time to wait for a root canal.
Yeah, I do. Dude, what's going on with everybody in their teeth?
I don't know.
Dude, I brush, floss, and whatever. It chewed tobacco for like 20 plus years. I don't go to the dentist. I have all my teeth.
I don't floss, but I brush, and now I only brush once a day, so maybe that's bad on me, but I've had like one cavity in my life. I never brushed my teeth as a kid and never had a cavity. I don't know. Ironically, I got a cavity when I started being like regular with my teeth brushing. Then I got a cavity.
Yeah, and yes, Tristan popped in. Search up Canadian political, politician comes to the U.S. for heart surgery, and how they come here for specialized doctors and treatments. Yeah. There's no doubt that on the good side of what we do and whatever.
Right. We are really good at what we do well, and I'm not trying to make the argument that we have a good healthcare system, because we don't. Our healthcare system is absolutely awful, and it has been for about 20 years. But we're still number one in cures and number one in research. We're number one in pioneering life-saving operations. Like, what we do well, we do really well. Don't get me wrong. But we also do things really backwards. So.
Yeah. And I don't know. I just figure, man, pay attention, eat good, do whatever. You're not going to live forever anyways.
Right.
Rock it out, And dude, I live on the side of, okay, if something really happens, I go to the ER.
Right.
As somebody who doesn't have, medical insurance, right? Just because I don't agree in the shenanigans. And it's like, dude, if I could get away without, I would bet on the fact that I can drive around without hitting anyone else, right?
Sure.
Better than the average person. I've been driving a while. I've driven, for a living. I've done whatever.
Interestingly, this does kind of fall in line with the whole healthcare and car insurance deal. If you knew that you could take your car in to get whatever work you needed done and it would be covered by insurance, you probably wouldn't be as careful.
Possibly. I think some of it is. I think
the majority of people probably wouldn't be as careful if they knew, because when you need an oil change, that costs money. When you need your tires rotated, that costs money. When you got to buy new tires, those are really expensive. But if that was all covered under insurance, I'd be burning out of every single parking lot and going in for new tires every other week.
Yeah, possibly. I could see some, right? I just happen to drive, careful-ish. I do like to speed a little bit, and I understand that I have cars that are fast and they do stuff. I have to spend more on tires, but
you tell me what a speed limit is.
But some of the some of the things with it that I think I should be able to go in once a year and not have it cost a gazillion dollars for preventative, right? Like, hey, let me go, every, a physical and then this, but why am I paying $300-400 a month, right? And that's, in the realm of possibilities, anywhere for 3-4 more than I pay, for a car payment, or more than I pay for car insurance, or more than I pay for any number of things, and I don't use it for one time a year to go in, and you still pay. You still have a copay.
Yeah, you still pay.
So if I did and went, okay, dude, I'm gonna have to chuck, probably $200-300 to go in and let me see how am I doing? Anything I should look at or whatever? Cool. Versus paying that and just on the off chance that you're going to get sick. Now the odds are going against you because you're going to run into something that is going to happen, as it goes. But it was something I didn't have to think about when I was with Ford Motor Company because I had really good insurance, right? Copay, this and that. But even the things like if you went in and you had a heart attack or you had, cancer or whatever, you're still paying thousands upon thousands of dollars to do, to go in and get it checked. Like, even major surgery, you still had to pay $10,000. And why am I either my company's paying or I'm paying up until that point, and then you're still going to slap me with, $10,000-20,000? I mean, yes, you'll try and save me, but you're going to charge me $30,000. So now no cable, no whatever, and you're going to have to pay that over the course of a few years,
And I'm of the mindset that we would adjust, right? So cancer-saving drugs that cost $66,000 a pill, they cost $66,000 a pill because someone is paying them that. If we stopped paying for it, they would drop the price because they still have to make money. They're still a business. They would find a way to do it cheaper. Now, I'm not saying it would
You're kind of off the mic there.
I'm not saying that it would go to $5 a pill, but it would be cheaper. And I'd be in favor of saying, let me get health care that covers if I need surgery, if I break my leg, I'm covered. but doesn't cover things like my physical. I will pay for that out of pocket. That's preventative. It doesn't cover if I have a cold. I will pay for that out of pocket.
Dude, seriously, you have a cold?
I just want to be covered. If I get cancer, cover that. If I fall down and I have a brain bleed, cover that. But don't charge me for things I'm not going to use. I'm not going to fall down and have a brain bleed, yet I'm paying for the risk that every single person in my health insurance group. I want to just pay for my risk. I'm not a smoker. I don't chew tobacco. I do some extreme sports, so maybe I would be at more of a risk, but just pay for my risk. I don't want to pay for my risk and yours and Aaliyah's and everybody watching. I kind of pay for your risk with my car insurance, but not really. If I get in an accident, my rates go up. I'm now more of a risk. If I smoke 8 packs of cigarettes a day, my health insurance should go up. I shouldn't be paying the same rate as the guy who does smoke 8 packs.
Yeah. No, again, it's a big convolution. I'm just going to try and eat more broccoli and,
Right. I'm just going to try never to have to use it.
Yeah. And, I mean, use it when you actually do. I mean, I'm so tired of people, I'm sick and I do whatever, and, they go and, I'm on antibiotics. You have a common cold. I mean, maybe a bad cold, but you're giving people, I'm totally anti-antibiotics unless you really, really need them.
Which then builds up tolerance
and
in your
immunities
system
and whatever.
And then it doesn't work when you actually need it.
Right. Because, dude, I've been antibiotic-free for, man, it's been a hot minute, dude. It's been over 10 years.
I'm at the point now where
granted, I've been suffering with sinuses and whatever, but it's that. It's like I believe in the weird thing is when you become conscious enough with your body and what's going on inside of you, I can tell when my sinuses are sinuses, you got a runny nose, you've got a cold, you've got whatever, or when you have an infection, right? There's a tingle, there's a twinge, immediately I'm like, yep, this is not normal.
Right.
This will run down into my lungs. It will cause bronchitis. It will do whatever. But I even go further by a step and I take Mucinex, right? I take an expellerant to get it out of my body, right? And, go with, bring your vitamins up and, start, squeezing lemon into your stuff and make sure you're getting enough vitamin C. Deal with the natural detoxifiers that you can get into your body and just sweat it out. Take some NyQuil, power through. You're going to be sick for 3 or 4 days anyways.
Go to a sauna and sweat it out.
That's right.
Yeah. No, I'm very into I'm going to go Eastern medicine before I go Western medicine. I get a cold, I'm taking something called feverfew, which is a plant that you buy at CVS in a capsule. You take it, and it generally works because it's designed to work. It's what it is. Hell, there are literal medicines that have feverfew in them that you're paying a lot of money for when you could just go buy the darn thing at CVS.
Yeah, dude, you got a fever. Rock it out.
Right.
You're going to be fine.
It's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
Having a fever is your body's way of fighting it. Let your body do what it does. You don't have to pump it full of other things and be like, I gotta work.
And I don't know what's going on with this flu shaming, or if it's actually real, like this mega flu that is whatever, and a certain amount of people are dying, and this is a crazy flu. Went to bed and woke up and dead because of the flu, and I'm like, look, a certain amount of people die from the flu every year, right? It happens when you look at it. It's a thing, and yeah, I mean. I get it, but there's really not much that can be done. Dude, I will not get a flu shot. Have you had a flu shot? You've had one or two, haven't you?
Every single time I got a flu shot as a kid, I got the flu. I have not had a flu shot since I was 18. Have not had the flu since I was 18.
Yeah, I don't know if I would force my kid into getting a flu shot. And what science are you looking at? And versus just the way we've been. You know what? Say all the things you need to say about what's going on in the world, and granted, getting your kids vaccinated is a different story, right? My stepdad had polio. I saw it. It wasn't cool.
It's interesting because for a country that is so focused on science, whenever we get a divisive issue like vaccines versus no vaccine, we just stop talking about science after a while. Did you know that both sides are right? And that we can actually do a genetic test before we vaccinate a kid and say, we shouldn't use this vaccine on this kid because they have these genetic markers that this vaccine doesn't work well with, so we'll use this other vaccine that does the same thing but is less known.
There you go.
But nobody wants to talk about that. It's just a hard line, all or nothing.
Yeah, it's, I don't know. I'm kind of, look at West Virginia. I'm fairly certain they're not getting shit for medicine down there, right? You get in the Appalachian Mountains and whatever. Dude, if you took people and just stuck them in a forest,
getting that ginseng though,
you'd be fine, right? It's fine. I've seen people that have come from extreme whatever, and we don't go see no doctor and whatever, and they're fine.
Right.
You know, that you're going to be fine. The body is very resilient.
Go look at the Aborigine tribes of Australia and the tribes that still live in the Amazon rainforest, and some of the Native American tribes that are in North America and in Canada especially. They don't have Western medicine, yet they're still here. They didn't all die.
It's a thing.
Like, oh my God, you mean our body has been designed to not always die at the smallest thing? If you listen to some of these people that take hard stances on these things, and you would think that these diseases are new, and they're not. The flu has always been around. Sure, it's morphed, it's adapted. We had things like the Black Plague and cholera, and it was a bad deal. But call me an asshole. It's natural selection.
You're an asshole.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, okay. you asked for it. And on that note, we're going to go ahead and call it a wrap. We've hit our allotted time for the day. Jakey's hungry.
Oh,
yeah.
I had Qdoba today. You
I had it yesterday.
Yeah, you were talking about it, and today I was like, I need to go out and get some Qdoba.
Heck yeah, advertising works. See,
it
we
does.
just did that. I didn't say anything to him or whatever. He just happened to talk about it, and guess what? We mention it. Al goes and gets it. That's how advertising works. If you want people to do stuff, let Jakey just randomly mention it, and people will go do it. It's a thing.
Well, I did it.
Maybe. Okay. Dude, I wanted it again today. Actually, I saw I went and had that, and I was like, dude, that is such a great food base, right? And I went, you know what? I need to go grocery shopping. And I was so like, I'm hungry, and I'm thinking, and I'm kind of like, I'd really like to cook. I'm not 100% certain when I pull out of here, I'm either going to turn right or I'm going to turn left. Right is generally the easiest way to get home. If I go left, I'm going to stop, and I'm going to buy all the fixings so I can make random Jakey, taco things at the house. Because what's better than going, boom, fresh, lettuce, onions, some cilantro, boom, throw the stuff on there, and boom. And
now,
I can just make it, and I'm good to go.
Do you get taco sauce?
Not taco sauce, and dude, I was raised half in the Southwest, right? I get salsa verde. I have different, actual, salsas that you would find in, but yeah, like regular, just random sauce. No, I have, dude, I'm really good on my spices.
All right.
Dude, in Texas, like everyone here, Frank's Red Hot's awesome, or this and that. When they start talking about hot sauces,
I put that bleep on everything.
That's right. That was that stuff's made paste pecani sauce. That's made in New York City. New York City. Paste pecani sauce made in San Antonio, Texas, right? Or El Paso, Texas, or whatever. So, and I don't even use that. Like, paste is fake to me. Dude, I have bought by the gallon from, Hispanic women that, they were selling tamales. Like, the girl at the bar was selling tamales for her aunt and whatever. And I got their, her salsa verde, and was like, dude, it had a thicker consistency, almost like it was. I go, dude, that salsa that has the guacamole. And she was like, no, it's just green. It doesn't have guacamole. I was like, dude, the consistency of that is of guacamole is stirred in. And she was like, there's no guacamole. Dude, I would put it on Cheerios. Like, it is that good. Like, you've got to be, you got to be shitting me.
You would put salsa on Cheerios?
Dude, that green salsa, I just put my finger in it and take it. It's that good.
But on Cheerios?
Dude, there's nothing I feel that it couldn't go on.
The O's don't need help. They're good on their own.
Yeah, I haven't had I'm an adult also. I don't eat cereal, right?
That is true. I've had a box of Lucky Charms in my pantry for about a year now.
Then I don't drink milk. If we're going to go in our holistic thing, why drink milk, right? We're the only mammals that drink another mammal's milk on the face of the earth, right? Think there's something to it?
I just like milk, man.
Yeah, no,
it's
I don't.
Delicious. You ever had milk straight from the cow?
No.
Delicious.
Yeah.
Delicious.
That's great. Yeah, I really don't. Yeah, I really don't. I don't get down with the cow. And just the dairy industry's kind of creepy. What they do, I kind of like the cow. Right. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'll eat the cow, but I don't think they need to. A cow is only producing milk when it's lactating, right?
Right.
So you have to fake.
They keep them pregnant.
They either keep them pregnant, or they have ways to trick them into thinking they're pregnant to produce milk and whatever. Yeah. And the hormones that have gone through. And look at me. I look like I drink a lot of milk as a kid. I'm probably part cow. If you take the breakdown of the DNA, there's a lot of cow in me.
Well, I mean, you remember I grew up in a rural farm town, so if you didn't drink milk straight out of the cow, did you really go to my high school? Probably. If you didn't, there are things that if you went to my high school, you did, which was you drove a tractor to school, you were late, you missed your entire first period because you were stuck behind a tracker, you shot a gun before you were able to actually own a gun or should have ever shot a gun, you drank beer in a field at 4 a.m. with a fat girl in the back of a pickup truck.
All right.
Because that's just the way it was. And you drank milk straight from the cow.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't believe in the mass dairy industry. I mean, I believe it exists, right? Because I see it, but yeah, there's really no need for it.
Another big government thing.
You can get calcium from other sources. You can get X, Y, and Z from other sources.
We are literally putting farmers in jail in this country today for selling milk that has not been pasteurized.
Yep, for raw. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
even though it's scientifically better for you.
You know what I missed was the raw water thing that's going on where people are trying, don't drink that water, which I kind of agree. We don't need the fluoride anymore. We don't need this and this.
I do have a giant water filter. It's an Alexapure water filter. It's expensive as hell, but I got it as a gift, and I filter all my water through that, and it's so much better than out of the faucet, man. And then again,
speaking of that, I need to up that game. I got one as a present, but then when the filters went, I got a little sideways.
Yeah, but the filters are expensive in this one, man. They're like $40.
Yeah,
but
well,
you only change it once a year. But yeah,
that's what's up. Well, on that note, let's get out of here because all this talk of water and cow boobs are making me hungry. So, or I'm gonna go home and be like, dude, my porn searches are gonna be sideways. Yeah, I had a
great show. Let's just go through Jakey's porn history.
It's really not. I go to two things. I have the live streaming thing where I like to see real people, but then I don't actually go through with it, right? I mean, don't get me wrong. If I'm feeling like treating myself like a holiday or whatever, I will. But then and then that kind of gets my mind set up to what I'm going to do, and then I go over there. But it is kind of weird because that was something I was going to get into. We should probably save it for another show, but it's really weird. My 5-knuckle shuffle time has totally changed. I'm going through a weird, and it may just be winter, it may be whatever, but I don't recall a time like this in recent history that the things I'm doing and the ability I have, and it might go because I've gone a little bit to the herbal side as of whatever, that maybe I twinged something with my brain chemistry with adding that in, that I'm doing things different than I have in a while, and it's kind of weird. So we'll get into that at a later date. Well, hey, everybody, this is Jake, Al, the Bachelor Pad, Friday night, Bachelor Pad Radio Live, Facebook, bunch of stuff. I'm saying words. I don't know what to do with my hands.
Hashtag Bachelor Pad.
That's right. And I am tagging the inlandvaporsmichigan.com, right? We are a vapor shop. We're going to start advertising our stuff. It's not going to cost you anything, of course, but we will push out the few things that we are dealing with, and, that'll help Al buy more knit caps or grab a sweater because he says he's down to one.
Yeah. Please help me buy a sweater.
That's right. This is the Bachelor Pad Radio. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're done.